5 tips for recording Bonham Style drums. Let's do this! Welcome to Cunningham Manor, my studio here in Nashville, Tennessee. While I'm wrapping up a rock album I've been recording, I thought I'd share a couple tips for how to record Bonham Style drums. Tip number 1, tighten up those drum heads. Whatever kind of drums you have or the size of drums you have, one of the big things you can do is tighten up those drum skins. Mainly, the bottom head or the resonant heads, get those pitched up way up high, and then the top heads or the batter heads, pitch them slightly below that. It's going to give you a nice impact sound. It's going to sound familiar to you because it's going to sound like Bonham. Also, the kick drum head, you're going to want to leave that solid. It's going to give you a nice round sound. It's going to sound familiar too. Tip number 2, play with heavy sticks and play hard. I used to preach to play as soft as you can because you're learning dynamics and anybody can play loud, right? For recording, soft doesn't cut it. You're going to have to play hard. You're going to have to play loud. Also, a big factor tonally is what kind of sticks you're using or how big the sticks are. I like to use a 2B, and let me show you why. Here's the 2B. It's a bit fuller sound. And the 5A seems to drop in pitch and lose some attack for sure. Number 3, use a room mic. Now, a room mic is going to give you just that picture of the drum set. The room element does a lot. There's a lot you can play with. You can send that to reverb. Now, one thing I want to reference certainly is in the new release of the Zeppelin albums, something like Since I've Been Loving You off of Zeppelin 3, you hear in the new, pre-version, those drums are super dry and you're not hearing an enormous room. So that is great for us guys recording and mixing because you can hear that even they sent that whole drum into a huge kind of reverb sound in the final versions. Now, something I like to do is put it about 6 feet from the drum set. I like to point it kind of at the snare and at the kick. So I'm keeping it kind of kick snare centric. Tip number 4, kick mic placement. I like to put a mic about 6 inches to 8 inches off of the resonant head of the kick and off center, and a condenser mic. It does a lot. I feel like it gives you a very natural sound of the kick drum. I really prefer this to sticking something inside the kick drum where you get a lot of kind of mid-range sounds. You get the low end, you get some high end, but you're gonna have to EQ a lot with that. If you really want the click of the kick, stick a mic on the front side, and a 57 or a 58 I think does really nice, and it actually sounds really natural as well. So I think for me the natural sound is the kind of way to go. Tip number 5, and maybe the most important, try to make chomping faces while playing. I'm not sure if Bonham was cussing out his drum set or if he was just mad at his band and taking it out on the drums, but in live recordings you notice he is chomping, mainly on the snare hits. So if you do that, you're going to sound just like him. And that'll do it for an overly simplified run at a Bonham setup for recording. In the next video, I'll go over how to mix those drums. Until next time, Cunningham Manor out.